Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is the first SUEFC video that's being posted on the main channel. And anyways, I'm so excited. Let's get right into this. We start with the wonderful region of CONCACAF, where match day 3 continued. And in Group A, the hope of the Cayman Islands diminished after a 5-0 loss to Bermuda. The next match day, Antigua and Barbuda faced Cuba, and a goal late in the first half gives them all 3 points and puts them in the best position to qualify for the next round, which Honduras did qualify for after nearly beating the Cayman Islands 1-0, fully eliminating them, and they are now the first team in this video to make it to the next round. After those matches, Antigua and Barbuda are eliminated along with the Cayman Islands, making them the first teams in this video that are out. Cuba, however, would not take advantage of the opportunity to advance to the next round and lost 1-0 to Bermuda. And now it's Bermuda who progressed to the final round instead of Cuba. For the first time in their history, Honduras topped the group undefeated after their 2-0 win against Antigua and Barbuda, while the aforementioned Bermuda finished second, 1 point ahead of Cuba. And Cuba, oh Cuba, God knows how this team lost to Bermuda. It's an embarrassment of the whole nation. There is seriously no hope for Cuba. They're literally the India of CONCACAF. I swear, they have the potential, but they just don't try. Anyways, Cayman Islands should be proud of their performance as they barely lost to Honduras and got their first win in qualifying against Antigua and Barbuda, who should be ashamed of themselves. Grenada hopped up to third in Group B, tied with Trinidad after destroying the Bahamas 6-0, which sees the Bahamians eliminated. Trinidad destroyed St. Kitts and Nevis 6-2 and are now top, 3 points clear of Grenada in third. Costa Rica advanced to the next round after they absolutely dominated Bahamas 8-0. Grenada had to win, meanwhile Trinidad had to get at least a point, and it didn't start well as Grenada fell behind to St. Kitts and Nevis, but they soon leveled it back to 1 apiece and eventually took the lead late in the second half and added a third in injury time before St. Kitts and Nevis pulled back a consolation as it ended 3-2. Grenada got their job done, but they had to prey on Trinidad's downfall, and their prayers were answered after Trinidad fell behind 2-0. However, they did pull one back, and that was important as they ended up tied with Grenada on points, and since they had a better goal difference, they go through to the final round for the first time since 2018. Costa Rica topped as expected, with Trinidad barely making it, tied with Grenada, we have to feel bad for. Meanwhile, St. Kitts and Nevis, who I thought would have fought for that second place spot, ended up disappointing massively, while Bahamas were obviously last. Omani Leacock put Barbados 1-0 up with a penalty over Aruba in a must-win game to avoid elimination, and Aruba soon leveled the scores. Omani Leacock then earned another penalty in the last minute but missed it, meaning Barbados bottled a chance to get points they needed to avoid elimination, and now both Barbados and Aruba are out. Curacao qualified for the next round after their 4-0 demolition of St. Lucia, which eliminated them, and Haiti progressed along with Curacao after a 5-0 win over Aruba. Curacao topped after destroying Haiti 5-0 as they both progressed, meanwhile St. Lucia finished third after beating Barbados 2-1 after a pretty terrible campaign. Aruba and Barbados were almost just as bad, though to be fair, I did expect more from Barbados and Aruba. In Group D, a goal in the second minute for Montserrat gave them all 3 points and eliminated Belize. A single goal by Jamie Moreno sent Nicaragua to the final round, where they will have a chance to qualify for the World Cup for the first time. Going with them is Panama after beating them 2-0 thanks to Eduardo Guerrero with a goal and assist. Panama topped after beating Nicaragua 3-0, and Guyana finished third, beating Montserrat by the same scoreline. However, Guyana have shown promise and could pull through in the next round in 2030. I did expect more from Montserrat and Belize, however, as they've shown in the past they can do better. Over in Group E, Dominica earned a 3-0 win to stay alive and eliminate the British Virgin Islands. Guatemala went 1-0 up in a crucial game against Dominican Republic, but the Dominicans came back with 2 goals, only for Guatemala to come back from the comeback and score 3 goals to earn a 4-2 win and qualify for the final round. Warner Brown scored the winner against the British Virgins to send Jamaica to the final round along with Guatemala. Jamaica then beat them 3-0 to finish first, while Dominican Republic destroyed Dominica in the Dominican Derby to finish third. And like Guyana did show promise. And finally in Group F, St. Vincent and the Grenadines destroyed Anguilla 6-0, fully eliminating them. Suriname qualified for the next round the next match day after a 1-0 win against Puerto Rico thanks to Jaden Montnor, giving them a chance to qualify for their first ever World Cup. El Salvador took advantage of Puerto Rico's loss, winning 3-0 against St. Vincent, and just need a point to progress in the final match day. It didn't look good for the Salvadorians after they fell behind to the Dutch C team, but eventually they equalized and got the point they needed, which means Puerto Rico's 2-1 win meant jack and El Salvador advance over them. Suriname finished first after their draw and could be one of the underdogs that could potentially make their debut. El Salvador have been underwhelming beyond comprehension after barely scraping through, but you gotta feel for Puerto Rico. But the team is young, so there is hope for the future. The teams we will see in the next round are Honduras, Bermuda, Costa Rica, Trinidad and Tobago, Curacao, Haiti, Panama, Nicaragua, Jamaica, Guatemala, Suriname, and El Salvador. And as of I am recording, the groups are out now, with Group A containing Panama, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Suriname. Group B has Jamaica, Curacao, Trinidad and Tobago, and Bermuda. God bless their souls. And finally, Group C has Costa Rica, Honduras, Haiti, and Nicaragua. First place team qualifies automatically, and the two best second place teams go to the Intercontinental Playoff. Let me know your predictions down in the comments. Over in Asia, and Uzbekistan earned a draw against the UAE, and that was enough to secure qualification to their first ever World Cup in history. Qatar secured their spot in the next round after a winner by Pedro Miguel over Iran. This result means Kyrgyzstan's 2-2 draw against North Korea means jack, and now Kyrgyzstan are out. Nothing else mattered on the final match day, so we see Iran top the group along with Uzbekistan after their 3-0 wins against North Korea and Qatar respectively. Kyrgyzstan did draw to the UAE, which saw the UAE finish 3rd and Kyrgyzstan 5th, while Qatar and North Korea ended in 4th and 6th. In Group B, Ali Iyad Owan scored a hat-trick against Oman to give them a potential spot in the World Cup if Iraq lost to South Korea, and exactly that happened with a 2-0 win, meaning Jordan also qualified for the first ever World Cup, and South Korea also qualified yet again. With Oman's loss, Palestine took full advantage with Tamer Sayem giving them the lead, and Wessam Abu Ali scored a penalty to put them 1 point behind Oman, who they play in the final match day to determine who qualifies for the 4th round, while Kuwait are now officially out. Korea topped after beating Kuwait 4-0, and Jordan's lost to 3rd place Iraq. But the real action for the final playoff spot took place between Palestine and Oman, and Palestine gave their country hope, going 1-0 up, but in heartbreaking fashion they conceded a penalty which gave Oman the draw they needed, and Palestine are eliminated after all the work they put in. So 4th place Oman progressed, and Palestine are sadly out in 5th along with Kuwait. Over in Group C, and Australia scored a last minute winner against Japan to put themselves in a prime position to qualify, and if the Saudis lost or drew they wouldn't have to worry, but they did obtain a 2-0 win, which meant they would have to face each other in a final showdown to determine who qualifies for the World Cup. While Bahrain can no longer qualify after Indonesia with a single penalty secured their spot in the 4th round, eliminating China in the process. Australia just needed a single point to qualify but fell behind, which is not what they wanted. However, they did turn it around with a goal before the break and the winner right after the break to qualify for the World Cup yet again despite doubts during the campaign. Japan ended up topping and destroyed Indonesia 6-0 and go to the World Cup along with Australia. Saudi Arabia after the loss have to go through the 4th round along with Indonesia. Meanwhile, China did finish 5th and did better than most people thought, especially after beating Bahrain 1-0 and being just 3 points away from the next round. All the teams that have qualified to the World Cup from Asia include Iran, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Jordan, Japan, and Australia, while the teams that have to go through the grind of the 4th round include the likes of the UAE, Qatar, Iraq, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and Indonesia. So it's basically all Arab teams plus the Indonesians. All the way across the globe again, and we are in CONMEBOL, and here Ecuador and Brazil couldn't be separated and ended in a goalless draw. Paraguay went 1-0 up, and a Julio Enciso penalty assured the Paraguayans another shocking win over Uruguay to get them even closer to qualification. Meanwhile, after Argentina's 2-0 win over Chile, the Chileans can no longer automatically qualify for the World Cup. Colombia somehow couldn't beat Peru, which means Peru can no longer automatically qualify along with Chile. Venezuela took full advantage of their draw, however, against Bolivia, scoring through an own goal and yet another goal by Solomon Rondon, and are now 3 points behind Colombia. After Bolivia's loss, however, Ecuador and Paraguay are guaranteed a at least a playoff and can qualify if they win the next match day, as long as Venezuela lose or draw to Uruguay. Before we get into that, however, Bolivia earned a 2-0 win at home, fully eliminating Chile. Venezuela lost 2-0 to Uruguay, which means after Ecuador's 0-0 draw against Peru, Ecuador qualified for the World Cup for the 2nd straight time. Going with Ecuador is actually Brazil, who with some Vinny sauce beat Paraguay to qualify yet again. Colombia could have gotten closer to qualifying after Luis Diaz put Colombia 1-0 up against Argentina, but Thiago Almada comes in clutch and gives Argentina an unnecessary point that they really don't need. After the window, we have Argentina qualified already, and now Ecuador and Brazil, so they don't matter. Uruguay and Paraguay are guaranteed of at least a playoff, so if they win or draw the next game and Venezuela lose, they will probably qualify. Colombia, however, they need at least 3 points next window to qualify. Venezuela will play with all they have though to get that last spot, and so will Bolivia if they want to go to the Intercontinental Playoffs. Peru are an outside shout for those playoffs, but let's be real, it's not happening. And Chile are gone, they don't matter anymore. In Europe, and Lithuania somehow couldn't get past Malta. Meanwhile, Memphis Depay and Denzel Dumfries scored to give the Dutch a crucial 2-0 win over Finland. The Finns did redeem themselves, surprisingly going up ahead of Poland with a penalty and another goal from super sub Benjamin Kalman. Meanwhile, the Dutch are catching up after an 8-0 thrashing of Malta. After that, Finland have the opportunity to qualify for their first ever World Cup, as they are top 1 point ahead of the Dutch and Polish, who are in a 3-horse race. Lithuania and Malta are both underwhelming beyond comparison and don't stand a chance anymore, as Lithuania have 2 and Malta have 1 point. In Group H, Edin Dzeko saved Bosnia from embarrassment after coming on. Michael Gregoric and Marcel Sabitzer helped Austria win their first game 2-1, which means Austria, Romania, and Cyprus are all tied on points. Romania then scored 2 late first half goals to earn a 2-0 win over Cyprus. Austria took double and gave it to the next person, Lily, however, as they scored 4 against San Marino. Bosnia are 3 points clear of Austria and Romania after this window, and this could end up being another 3-horse race. Cyprus, I guess, are still in it, 3 points behind Austria and Romania, but as for San Marino, yeah, they're cooked. Estonia went 1-0 up against Israel again, but a brace by Dan Beaton and a late penalty helped them come back to stay in the playoff spot. Next was the big game between Norway and Italy. 14 minutes in, and Alexander Sorloth gives the Norwegians a shocking lead. But they're not done yet. Antonio Nusa, who assisted Sorloth, gets his own goal. And the cherry on top, Holland scoring the final goal, assisted by Odegaard himself. Absolute cinema right here, and these Italian frauds might miss out on another World Cup, and I'm all here for it. While all this is happening, Norway might finally qualify with their golden generation, especially after Holland scored the winner against Estonia to get Norway to 12 points, 9 points clear of Italy, who beat Moldova 2-0 thanks to Giacomo Raspadori and Andrea Cambiaso. So after this, Norway have obtained 12 for 12 points, the most of any other European team, and are 6 points clear of second Israel and 9 clear of Italy, and it's looking like Norway are on track to qualify for their first World Cup since 1998. And a battle for the playoff between Israel and Italy is set to happen based on recent results, and Estonia could also fight as they are tied with Italy. And Moldova, despite recent promise, are languishing at the bottom of the table. In Group J, Macedonia fell behind to Belgium, but soon equalized right after the half. Oh wait, it's offsides. But they don't stop fighting, and they finally get an equalizer in the 86th minute to get a crucial point against Belgium. Wales took advantage of that opportunity with a 3-0 win against Liechtenstein to go top, which wouldn't last long after Belgium went 3-0 up in the first half, but right before the break, Wales earned the penalty and pulled one back. Torba Thomas then pulled another one back, and here again, back post Brennan Johnson to the rescue, scoring what would be the equalizer, only for Lukaku to find the winner in the 85th minute. Hold up, Welsh fans, because VAR and the linesman still hate Lukaku. Too bad the Welsh couldn't survive for another 5 minutes, and Kevin De Bruyne found the real winner to put an end to that astonishing game. Macedonia took advantage of the Welsh bottle job with a win against Kazakhstan, which means they are top and could qualify for their first ever World Cup. The Welsh are just 1 point behind them, with Belgium fighting for the playoff spot, with the Welsh 3 points behind them, and Kazakhstan are barely hanging on, however for Liechtenstein, yeah, it ain't looking too good for them. Harry Kane helped England straight past Andorra 1-0, and now the long and waited game. Albania versus Serbia. Will there be any form of chaos? Actually, yes. Albania earned the penalty, but they missed that, choking an opportunity to beat them. After that, nothing happened, and it ended 0-0. Albania choked yet again after going 1-0 up, but falling to Latvia. Serbia, however, took care of business 3-0 against Andorra. England are cruising past everyone, but it's either Serbia or Albania for the playoff spot, and maybe Latvia, as they are tied with the Serbs. Another important match to determine who will likely go to the playoffs, and Anu Hojek gives the Czechs the lead. They finally sealed the game with Patrick Schick, put them in first place. And to end this group, Croatia started off comfortably with a 7-0 thrashing of Gibraltar. Speaking of Gibraltar, they actually went up 1-0 and kept that lead until the 71st minute and conceded the winner in the 86th minute. That was a clash to likely determine who wins the group, and this wasn't even close, which means Croatia are just 3 points behind the Czechs. Speaking of the Czechs, they are top with 9 points, but after that performance against Croatia, let's be real, it ain't lasting long, as they are barely just 3 points behind Croatia and Montenegro, and it's looking to be another 3-horse race, but it's a bit too early to tell. The Faroe Islands, I guess, could give the other teams a little run for their money, but after barely scraping past Gibraltar, it ain't looking too good for them either. It's worse for the Gibraltarians, however, as they aren't even close and have 0 points. Anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to absolutely bukkake that subscribe button, like while you're at it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!